Well, hello everybody, and welcome to the latest Historics Vodcast. Now, I am Vicki Butler-Henderson. I've been that all my life, and I have been joined today by, it says here, and he's written it himself, the ever youthful Mathew Priddy, our historics auctioneer expert.
Thank you.
And social media lovey, Tom Exton.
Lovely. I like that. Look at that.
That's not what I wrote.
No,
Did you write that?
In this episode, we will be discussing if it is time to invest in McLaren's MP4-12C and which is the superior motoring era. Is it the 1980s or is it the 1990s? And stay tuned right to the end because we will be discussing the perfect cars for passion. Well, the boys are going to be taking over in that one because I am a lady and a lady never tells. Right then, is it time to invest in a McLaren MP4-12C? So this was a car produced in sort of 2010, 2011. It ran for a few years. The name comes from the MP4 bit of it, comes from F1 style sort of naming system they've got for the race cars. The C represents the carbon, and the 12 is some very complicated McLaren algorithm that is beyond my brain power to explain.
Good stats, though.
But when this car came out, I just remember questioning the utter bonkersness of its name. Did that appeal to you in any way, or did you agree with me in its stupidity?
And they very quickly dropped it, didn't they? Went to 12C only because it was just convoluted.
Yeah.
Which is fair enough.
Exactly. I like my name simple. The Renault Zoe, for example. I guess.
But this was from the Ron Dennis era, of course, where nothing was simple. Everything was convoluted and OCD, which is, I think, part of the reason why it's probably something to look at and look at collecting. Because we talked about this a week and a half or so ago when we did the video with the 458 Speciale and sort of did compare and contrast. And bear in mind, they were both sort of 3,000-ish production levels.
Yeah.
But the Speciale's talking £300,000 plus and people murmuring about £500,000 car. And yet you can buy a 12C, a good 12C with low mileage, as low as £70,000.
Wow.
So when you look at that, you think, well, and from for pure values point of view, I can't imagine it going any lower than it hasn't. It's stayed at that level now for 2-3 years. And I don't know about you've probably driven more of these than me, Tom, but the later versions of the lesser cars have felt a little bit more mass produced, whereas the 12C always felt slightly better put together.
Yeah.
I think so, yeah. I had a 720S and actually my friend had a 650S, which was basically the 12C, but with a little bit of an upgrade and a new front end. But the 650S just felt like a much better put together car. And you hear that from a lot of people saying, the 12C was, that was when McLaren were really taking a lot of time over. I think they've kind of gone full circle and they're now kind of making things really well again. But I think they went through a period after the 650S where they just sort of started belting things out. 12C, I mean, intrinsic value-wise as well, carbon tub, all the engineering, the silly doors. Yeah. It's more of an appealing proposition than the Speciale on many levels.
I don't think you can go far wrong. Unless all that car value is completely tumble, in which case nothing's safe. I cannot see that get any cheaper than it is already. They're too cheap in my book. I've sold a number of these, and my key piece of advice has always been, it must be in some form of warranty. Now, if you're buying one outside of warranty, this is a bit of a tip, to get it into warranty, whether it be with McLaren or whether it be with a specialist, you will have to pay to have that car checked and at a sort of a good level before you get. Now that can cost a lot of money, a hell of a lot of money. Yeah. So if it's in warranty, it's brilliant because you can keep it in warranty and whatever that may be. There are specialist companies now, I won't name them because they're not paying me. Specialist
You're
companies
learning, this is good.
Will do it better. They will do it better than, perhaps better than McLaren would, not better, but a lot cheaper, a lot more usable in that value. Keep it in warranty, keep on top of it, and then I think the values should skyrocket at some point.
So we have one in the auction, and it's got an estimate of between £75,000 and £85,000. Of course, by the time this podcast comes out, the car will have been sold.
Yes.
What else do you know about the machine?
So this one's in a Harissa red, which is actually really nice dark red colour.
Yeah.
Now, importantly, as with any McLaren, not just the 12C, fully serviced with McLaren. You don't want to be missing any service schedules at all. Low mileage. This one's 11,000 miles, so really low mileage for the age of car.
Yeah.
And this one, I think, it's got the interior carbon pack. Now, that's really popular little things. Ferraris are similar. People like certain carbon packs and the way they look. McLaren's can be a little bit quiet on the inside, should we say. Very Porsche-like in that respect.
Yeah, no bells or whistles.
Yeah, so things like carbon packs are lovely.
Yeah. But
in this instance, if you've got the full service history and it's been well kept after a warranty, then you're in safe stead so that if something does go wrong, it's someone else's problem. Because they do have a history mainly of things like the clever bits, the wiring, which is fine because McLaren expect you to be going back to them to look after your car anyways. So if you don't, that's where you can get yourself into trouble.
Yeah.
But yeah, at that mileage, with that history, I mean, if anyone gets that for under £85,000, it would be an absolutely stunning bargain.
Apparently, it emits less CO2 than a Toyota Prius. And I don't know whether I believe that, but
is that over its lifetime? Do you think?
I think just as just
at the pipes?
day to day, just
Jeez.
As you're bumbling along. Apparently,
but also
with my
feel free to argue if that's wrong. I don't know.
Yes,
at this
let us
point.
know.
I've just regurgitated something I've read. So.
But also with these supercars, of course, there's strange things. We've always said the most economical car for climate-wise is the old Ford pickup in the States that the guy's driven for 60 years because he's never scrapped it. Whereas these supercars, they're never going to be scrapped. Your Yaris's, your Priuses, all that stuff. That's all going to have to be thrown in the bin at some point.
They're white goods. They'll be binned.
So there you go. Buy a supercar.
Right then, let us cast our minds back, or let us tell you about a decade that you might not know about. So it's 80s versus 90s now. Now this little chat on our podcast, vidcast, has been inspired by the glut of 80s and 90s cars that we've got in the auction here at Ascot. We have XR2s, Golf GTIs, Astra GTE, Ford Capri. Oh, the nostalgia is endless. Nostalgia for me takes me straight back to the 80s when I was a teenager. I presume you
I sort of span both.
Oh, do you?
But I always say I was looking back at the 80s as in more poster, and then when I was starting to drive was in the 90s.
Yeah.
So I had that sort of strange thing. I always think that the 80s is just something I could never have had too young, and it's so cool.
Yeah.
And then the 90s, it was all about aspiring to things I was not allowed to drive or couldn't afford to, or the insurance wouldn't let me. Personally, when I look back at the motor racing history, the cars, I think the 80s have it.
Yeah.
I think they have it. I think the 90s, we started to put stereos and everything, and all started to be a bit technology, which is all terrible now. I think that was not quite what the 80s could have been. Imagine the 80s was at the World Rally Championships when people could literally stand on the gravel and just move out the way when a car came past.
Potentially losing a finger on the way past.
Yeah, it was, never mind.
Reached out and touched the car.
And it was when, I think, wasn't Ayrton Senna was in Formula 1 in the 80s, and the Formula 1, to me, just a little more glitz.
Yeah, and you got Group B rally cars as well. Yeah. Rip snorting machines.
Which then transmitted into the road cars. You take Raleys and Sierra Cosworths and all sorts of crazy stuff at the time.
Touring cars had the Sierra Cosworth.
No, I think touring cars maybe that sort of pushed into the 90s, because I remember watching Gabriele Tarquini in his Alfa Romeo, and that's when I fell in love with Alfa Romeos. That was a costly watch. Should never have watched it because that cost me fortunes. And then I loved that. Yeah. But I felt like it got a bit staid. But
in the 90s as well, in touring cars, you've got the Ford Mondeo with the likes of Andy Rouse, and of course the Volvo estate car was.
I was about to say that's all I remember. Just everyone hooning around in an estate car. I loved it.
Absolutely.
I remember I worked on Max Power magazine when we got the press release through from Volvo saying that they were going to race this estate car, and we all just went. Two reactions. One, holy smoke, Batman, is this a joke? And two, oh my gosh, this is going to be such a brilliant PR thing. Yeah. And it turned out to be both. And it was pretty quick as well. It wasn't tugging around at the back.
But that's British touring cars. It's a bit like stock car racing and NASCAR racing, isn't it? In essence, that's just a bit stuck on the top.
Yeah.
So its aerodynamics were off. But I mean, bear in mind, in British touring cars, all they were doing was basically rubbing and pushing each other around the track, weren't they? So that's what I used to love about it.
I did a stock car race once in a Rolls Royce, but it was just a Rolls Royce body, and underneath with a Mark II Ford Granada. Tom, may you tell us what era you even remember or potentially were born in?
I'm actually trying to remember. Not when I was born. I know that bit.
Just some 90s cars.
I was compos mentis probably towards the end of the 90s.
Okay.
And then reverted back to non-compos mentis for the rest of your life.
Yeah, since it's been downhill from there.
So the 90s had like the Skyline R34.
Yeah.
Audi RS2, so the sort of start of all the Audis, RSs. Renault Clio Williams was at the start of it. I used to love those.
Oh yes.
Just the gold wheels, so understated with the gold wheels.
Yeah, they did the gold wheels before Subaru made them super popular.
Yeah,
so
exactly that. Lotus Carlton again, might be a bit early on.
Lotus Carlton.
Yeah.
I should have bought one.
So you think about this now. The 80s and 90s are what I'd call the sort of the golden period for auctions. The values, though lesser, unless you're into sort of 959s and McLaren F1s, but down at sports car territory, that's where people really start putting their money into. It's low mileage examples of those. People are just clambering for, which is why you see things like the XR2 in this sale. People are just thinking, oh my God, a low mileage XR2. It's actually like I used to have one or want one.
Yeah. Do you think it's because that people sort of in their 40s and 50s now are looking back at things that they wish that they'd have bought when they were a teenager or whatever, and it is being driven, the modern classic auctions are being driven by nostalgia.
Yeah, and I don't necessarily think that's changed. And I imagine that people that bought E-types, XK120s, were probably the same.
Yeah.
You know, and
when they were 40s and 50-year-old, they could afford.
In many, many, many years' time, when I get to 50, you know, I might be looking at these more modern things now.
You'll be looking at electric cars going, oh, lovely, let's get one of those.
So, yeah, but I think from an auction perspective, everyone loves them. They have the most amount of clicks on websites. They have the most amount of people come and have a look at them. But I just think that the 80s is that more analog era.
Yeah.
You can trust it a bit more. And I just think it has a bit more panache.
And I think for a lot of people as well, if they want to go and buy an expensive car, you're probably, I'm trying to phrase it nicely, you're seen as less of a Wally if you have, you know, a Testarossa or, you know, that's socially acceptable. Everyone loves an 80s Ferrari. Whereas if you go and buy a brand new supercar and slap it on the drive, your neighbours might think, I always didn't like him and now I definitely don't like him.
What is it about our
just
society?
Brits, I think. It's British. We just hate each other.
But if you were Italian and you bought a brand new Ferrari, they clap you and cheer you and you drive down the street.
You get a tunnel.
It's such a different...
VIP,
but when Tom turns up in a brand new Range Rover Estate, what do we all think? I don't like that. Never did like that, Tom.
I get that anyway. I don't need the Range Rover to help me along with that. But it's very true though. But if I turn up in a 3-door
old thing,
I'd be applauded in.
Yeah.
I have a 2003 Range Rover.
Unbelievable.
So I should just bring that as my dog car.
Unbelievable. I think that's the best generation. I'm not brave enough to own one in daily yet, but yeah. I think that's the best
I
generation.
also have a very clever daddy who has grown. He's a farmer and he's grown up with Range Rovers and stuff like that, and he can
you've got a safety
do
net.
wizard stuff on it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'd be spooked by the electrics in that. I'll go older Land Rover.
You see the Queen, she's still using the old one. She unbelievable.
I love that. So at the Royal Windsor Horse Show that has just recently been, not too far from where we are here at Ascot, she rocked up in an old school Range Rover.
I love it.
And I just think that Land Rover must be rubbing their hands with sheer delight. What more of a sign of approval, seal of approval can you get than that?
It's still working, which is what she was saying.
Exactly. We might all be a bit old, but it's still in good order. Yeah.
So so what are we going to vote? So who's 80s and who's 90s?
Hands up for 90s is better. Oh.
I've got 80s cars. I don't think I've got any 90s cars. I've only got 80s.
Clean sweep 1980s.
Yeah. Woo-hoo. And it is that rally era is what I think really tickles me.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, that was amazing. That was just when rule book torn up, throw out there, just see how quick you can go. And try not to kill each other. Yeah. Which they did, so they had to cancel it. But, you know, that was great while it lasted.
Well, we will be sticking into the winning decade at the moment because it's quiz time.
This worries me.
Yeah.
I was born in the 80s. That doesn't mean I'm very good at the 80s.
So this is in anticipation of a film that's coming out called Top Gun Maverick, coming out at the end of this month. We're going back to the original Top Gun, which was out in 1986, and guess who watched it recently? I did. So exciting.
So you cheated, basically.
So of course I have.
Okay,
and as quiz mistress, I can cheat. So we've got 6 questions, all related to the Top Gun movie.
Well, I've never seen it, so this is good.
Have you never seen it?
I don't really do TV.
You've been made to watch it?
What do you do?
That's a very good question.
Colouring in?
I'm not even very good at that.
Okay. Don't need to.
I just like cars.
Oh.
I know.
Please go and watch Top Gun. Honestly, I'd not seen it for decades, and I think I watched it. It was terrific. It was terrific.
A couple of years ago, actually. It is enjoyable to watch it again.
Yeah. Okay, question number 1.
Okay.
Tom Cruise played Pete Maverick Mitchell, the lead role, but what was the name of his rival at the Top Gun school?
was Iceman.
Yes. And
Tom
who
Kaczynski.
who played Iceman?
How do you not know this?
That's the easier bit. I'm forgetting the easier bit. Val Kilmer.
Yes. And throwing it one over to Tom, what did Val Kilmer go on to play? He played a very famous role in another film later on.
Badly.
Batman.
You see? There you go.
Was that right?
Yeah.
You're joking me? No. Perfect. That's the only role I can think of in any film.
Give him a bonus point just in case it's needed.
I'll go now after that.
Okay. Take My Breath Away was the theme tune of Top Gun, sung by whom?
I don't know. Was that in the steamy scene with the teacher? No, I don't remember. I don't know who sang it.
It was an American new wave band called Berlin. Number 3. Tom's clicking his fingers.
I was listening to their album earlier. Very good album, that.
I think it was a bit more of a one-hit wonder, though I might be doing them a massive disservice. But yeah.
Berlin fan over here.
Number 3. What was the name of the chap who flew with Maverick as his radar interceptor officer? So he flew in the plane with Maverick.
Goose.
Yes! And for an extra point, do you have any idea the name of the actor?
No, not a
No,
not a
I didn't
clue.
either.
Great moustache.
Terrific. And a great role. Anthony Edwards. He
Never
played
would have that.
Nick Goose Bradshaw.
Did you Wikipedia that, or did you know that?
Of course I Wikipedia it. Okay, number 4. Who directed Top Gun?
Oh, I don't know that.
I know.
Okay, was it Jerry Bruckheimer?
No. Who's the most famous director you know?
Spielberg.
Hey.
Did I get it right?
No, not quite.
Oh.
It was Tony Scott, who is the brother of Ridley Scott. Ridley Scott did Gladiator and Blade Runner. And Tony Scott himself, as well as doing Top Gun, did Days of Thunder, Beverly Hills Cop 2, and many, many more.
He did the best movies then.
Yeah.
Beverly Hills Cop, although...
well-
Have you watched them? Come on.
Blankface.
There's one about a dog, the St. Bernards. I used to watch that one as a kid.
That was Hooch, Turner and Hooch, was that one?
Oh, I know, I saw that one as well. But any dog films, I watched all the Beethoven. That was it.
Well, we're going to take off on a tangent here. With
And the
Tom and
Dalmatian one. Any dog films, I like those. That's it. Very simple child.
Question number 5. Who played the role of Charlotte Charlie Blackwood, who was the Top Gun instructor who Maverick falls in love with?
Oh, you're going to tell me.
Actress.
You're going to tell me and I'm going to know. But
I know. It's one of those jolly annoying ones. Don't know why I'm looking at you, Tom.
Why?
Sorry,
This-
darling.
Come on, pull it out, Ian.
Cut the edit from here, just have it you two for this bit.
Kelly McGillis. Kelly McGillis. No. Okay, number 6. Tom, you've got to be in for a shout with this. Give me one line from the film. Don't all shout at once. I feel
Come on, Tom.
Let's go fly a plane.
Well, that might be in there, actually. To be fair, I don't know.
I feel the need for speed.
The need for speed. Yes, exactly.
Yes.
And one of my favourites is, your ego is writing checks your body can't cash.
There was a car in that. She drove a 356, didn't she? Convertible 356.
Absolutely. And he rocks off on the motorbike,
Yes.
and she follows
she
him
jumps.
left.
She jumps
Yes!
it. Yes.
Yeah. Now then, this is probably the moment where I now step out of the podcast, vodcast, vidcast, and leave it up to you, because this is where we find out which cars are best for passion.
Oof.
Yeah.
Well, best. Back to that Volvo.
A Volvo touring car.
Oh, well, I think
Did you have a kiss in a car at one point?
First kiss in a car was probably actually in my first car, because when you're young, of course, it's all at the same time, and you want to say, "Yeah, look at my car." I had a
What was your
Ford
first car?
Fiesta. We've done
Yeah.
a Ford Fiesta 1.1, but with a SI was body kit, which was not a sporty one; it was like a round body
Yeah.
kit. And then I had great big Cosworth alloys on it.
My first car was an H-Reg Renault Clio with big fat alloys and a big exhaust
So you
on it.
must have had, it
must have done the trick.
Yeah.
I mean, there must have been a cast of thousands in there.
Yeah.
I mean,
It must have been queuing up.
what a beast.
Yeah.
No, I can't remember, which is, I mean, maybe a good thing, to be honest.
Yeah.
Come on, Vicky. What was
What
your
about
first,
you?
First
Come
kiss in a car. Come on.
As I say, a lady never tells. But I do remember when I worked, when I was joining Top Gear, and I think I'd seen something that Jeremy Clarkson had either written or said, I can't remember, but he did say about a certain car, and I can't remember what it is, but I'm sure it's Googleable.
Yeah.
But he said that this car was so lovely, it would snap a lady's knicker elastic at 1,000 paces.
Goodness me.
Okay, we are going to have a look now at the auction, which is coming up, but obviously when you hear this, it will have been.
Well, yes.
Tom,
Hello.
will you have bought anything?
Potentially.
Okay.
I've got my eye on some things beginning with F.
You were really...
Some red things.
A Ford?
No.
Fiat?
No.
But you were super
Sadly
tempted
not.
by the Speciale the day when we filmed
Yeah,
it.
so we drove the Speciale. I've always wanted one ever since they've kind of been out. I had a Pista, and that car didn't really do it for me, and I just don't know why I've never gone for the Speciale, and I think it might now be the time to get in one of those before they disappear.
Oh, I think someone's trying to compete for some noise. We
Yes.
are at Ascot. They are preparing for Royal Ascot.
Do they know who we are?
And they're just building all sorts of things.
Anyway, so I thought that was going to be my kind of what I was going to focus on, but actually I just walked through up to this room and I've just seen a manual right-hand drive Scagletti with low mileage in Rosso Fiorano, maybe, like a dark red with cream inside.
And it is the manual part of it, isn't it? The manual on that.
So there were like 4,000 of those made, I think. Only 199 of those were manual in their entire production line.
Wow.
And that anything manual Ferrari still has it. I mean, there's a 456 downstairs manual. Again, you don't see many of those.
It's that gated box.
It is, and it's also when, perhaps not on that, but even on the 456, the auto box would have been horrible then. So you do want the manual.
Yeah,
A bit like the
absolutely.
360s, wasn't it? But it's that ability, because they're just not going to exist.
No, and they were really rare because everyone was choosing the newfangled automatic box.
Yes,
Everyone thought that was the
yeah.
thing to have, and Ferrari called it F1, so everyone obviously thought it was amazing. But yeah, that manual box is unbelievable. So that's actually tickled me, and I think the estimate on that is about 80,000, maybe 90,000
Yeah, so it's
starting point. So that's quite a lot of car for money, and it looks
Yeah.
very well looked after. Full history,
So-
NAV12, 4 seats, so you can put the doglets in the back, or some offspring potentially.
commitments
Love
on camera.
No plans.
Yes.
Now, on the last podcast, the boys were trying to bully you into buying a 911.
I said bullying. I
What's-
think they were trying to talk me out of it. To
Well,
be honest
one
with
was
you.
one was in, one was out.
Yes. I'm still just wrestling with the idea because.
So this is for a daily driver.
Well, I was going to do it as a daily driver, and then we were talking about turbos, and I'm thinking, well, maybe I'm thinking silly about doing it as a daily driver, and maybe I should go and get it because I think 996 and 997s are just too cheap. Too cheap. I mean, if you go up to GT3 level on the 997, it's incredible value because less made.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. One in the garage.
The real garage.
Have you got one?
hate you.
973. I
Yeah.
have one as well. Great.
So
all I know is that it's basically paying for my children at some point down the line.
They've done so well. They're great cars.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a
Right.
beautiful bit of kit.
So I started to then think maybe I just go for the actual third car because with young children,
Yeah.
maybe not using it as a daily. So I'm wrestling with the choice between investment. I'm thinking there's a lovely 996 turbo downstairs. So yeah,
So
I
you've basically gone from trying to get a runaround for under 20 grand to now doubling your budget, if not quadrupling it for a
I know.
GT3.
but I'm sort of listening to my own rationale, thinking
know.
that put more money in and be a better investment, or buy it as a daily and literally just lose money because I think it's more enjoyable. But we do a lot of driving. We go out and see customers all day
Yeah.
long, and lots and lots of driving on anything that's expensive is just going to become. I think I'll end up hating it otherwise. So I'm thinking maybe buy one that I can use for enjoyment purposes,
Definitely.
and then I may get lucky if I'm as good at this as I should be.
Yeah. With your experience.
That I
you
should be able to
yeah.
park it up, use it properly,
Yeah.
and enjoy it, and then it may increase in value. But again, I've done it again. This comes out after the auction, so with a bit of luck, I may have even.
It may have had one
I'm
already.
not allowed to bid on it here. That's annoying. Never mind.
Are you not allowed to bid?
Probably not me.
I'll just bid in my name. It's fine.
If you
They-
could
they
just
won't
if you
know.
could just bid, Tom, I'll pay you when it. I'll pay you. I'm good for it.
Well, this
Wow, I can't.
takes us on to future news because in the future, imminent future, is the Formula One race in Spain, which is what you're going to go to. What is the role for you then?
I don't cover the race. I don't do anything motorsport related. So whenever I go to a new town, new city, all over the world, I just kind of document what the locals do. So I went to Imola and I was making pasta, fresh pasta. I don't know how to cook. I don't even know how to use a microwave. So I was there with egg everywhere. It was mayhem. So I kind of go and sample the local delights, if you like. And
Yeah.
essentially I'll just end up ruining it. And then I have a different guest with me every time. So this time round, I've got a surprise because it's my birthday weekend. So they're flying my twin out, although it's not a surprise because I found out because he told me. Because he's a little sod.
And obviously it's his birthday as well.
Yeah, that's how it works. Yeah,
That's how it works.
got it.
Okay then people, that's pretty much it from us, apart from to say please go onto the Historics YouTube channel to look at our back catalogue of podcast, vodcast, films, driving.
Everyone needs to go and follow Historics on Instagram because personally I quite like it. You get to see what's coming up on the auction before it actually hits the website or anything like that. It comes in, goes on the Instagram first, and you can also stay up to date with all the auction results on the Instagram page as well. Can you not?
You can
Indeed, yes.
And obviously subscribe to the YouTube channel as well because there'll be lots more content coming. Will there not be?
There will be indeed.
Wonderful stuff.
Including more driving of more cars
Yes.
from the next auction, which is happening in July.
Yes.
But until then, bye-bye.